So here's the scenario. You've just started to use Kubernetes and you have multiple clusters that you have to add permissions to and allow certain people to do certain things. This shouldn't be rocket science, right? So what's the first thing you do? You probably go over to the kubernetes.io site and you look at, how do we do this? How do we create this role-based access control? You're looking down the page and it says stuff about APIs. It says roles and cluster roles. And then if you go down a little further, then there's the role bindings and cluster role bindings. And then there's all the different attributes. Then there's the users you have to map. And there's all these things that just, sound very complex. And not to mention that once you do this on one cluster, you have to do it on many clusters. So does it really have to be that complex? And the answer is no. There's a lot of tools that can help you out with that. One of these tools is called Portainer. And the nice thing about Portainer is that it manages all these things for you. So what does that mean? So what you can see is I'm logged in as test1 in this screen right here that's kind of this black background. And in the Firefox, I can switch over to there. This has a purple background. I'm logged in as an admin. And the reason why I've done this is just so I can showcase the admin and the user access right from here. So I can change things right away and then see how it reflects in the user environment. So these are the two environments we're going to work with today. And what I'm going to do is just go back real quick. You see I have no environment set up right now, nothing up my sleeve. Everything is, as it should be. But what we're going to do is we're going to come here to the dashboard and let's go actually back home. So let me go to the home here. You can see I have 3 different environments. 2 are Kubernetes and 1 is a Docker environment. In the Kubernetes environment, we may want to set up access to these environments to be the same, or we might want to set up to be different. Regardless, we want users in certain groups to do certain things very easily. Again, this shouldn't be rocket science. At the end of the day, your job is to, get users the access to this. If you're in DevOps, if you're in IT ops, if you're in platform, engineering, whatever it is, the job is to get this done easy. It doesn't have to be hard. You can still take credit for it. So what do you do? So let's take a look at this. Let's go into our environments here. Actually, let's go to users first. You can see that I have several users set up. I have an admin, I have mchenets, which is me, and then 3 different test users. And I've set up a team called development. And if I click on development, you can see that I have 4 users in here. And then what I wanted to do is associate that with certain roles. And these roles here are different roles that map to Kubernetes roles. So they not only map with stuff within the GUI, but they'll actually directly map with Kubernetes roles. So if I wanted to take a look at that, I can actually go back to get cluster role. Here's an example. Let me just see. Cluster roles. And you can see that there's a bunch of these roles here. Portainer, kind of basic, edit, help desk, operator view. These all map back to the roles that you see over here. And if I wanted to take a look at one, then I could just go back to Portainer edit and I can see this kind of is a role that's set up that is used within Portainer and gives certain permissions. So if you wanted to see all the different permissions that these people have and the resources they can access and the things that they can do, this is where you could actually go in and geek out on that. But if you don't care about that, know that we've set this up so that there's different levels of permissions that make sense depending on whether you're in IT ops or DevOps or other things. And so that's there. And what we can do with this now is map it. So let me go to an environment. So you can see that we have these different environments here, and at the right, we have this manage access. So let me click on manage access for the first environment, and it says select user or team. I'm just going to select the whole team and say create access. Okay. Now I have the development team there in x86 cluster. Let me go back to the other screen. Oops, wrong screen. Let me go back to this screen. Oh, wow. Look, now I have an environment here. But I might not be able to get to the namespaces that I want to yet because I might not have access to it. So you see, I can't really do anything here. If I go into this environment, it says there's certain things, but I might not have access to it. So let me go back into here And I can actually give access to different namespaces. So I can manage access on the namespace level too, where I can go in and I can create different access there. So there's different ways of doing that. And one of the cool things here is that in the environment, I can go into, go back into the namespaces, and I can go back into manage access, and I should be able to, oh, you know what? I can't. Why can't I do that? You know why? Because I made that person an admin. So let me go into manage access and say, you know what? I might have made that an admin, so it's not going to really give me a standard user. So let me make that a standard user, say update, and it updates it. So now I can go back to the namespace. I can go into the manage access, and now I can select that. And it even says development standard user, create access. So now it's associated that with the standard user. And when I come back here, now I have that namespace that is associated with me, and I can do more things with it. So that namespace itself has different access based on, based on what you've set up within Portainer. Now, how does that all map back to, back to here? Well, let's take a look. If we go to the role binding for this under mchenets, you can see that I have a particular user here. It's a -3. Really, all you have to know is that -3 is at the end there. And if I look at, let me go back into here, and if I go into home, I can download the kubeconfig file, and I'll just select it here, download file. It'll say download test1 x86 cluster. I already had one there, so I'm going to replace it. But you can see that what happened is it created a user, and you can see this is that -3 user that will automatically connect to that cluster, x86 cluster1. And it does so by connecting to Portainer. So Portainer is this gateway to all the different clusters. The nice part about that is that once you cut somebody off, that user can be gone, or those roles can be gone. So as soon as it's gone in Portainer, it's gone in anywhere else that that user is. So right now, that's probably not that impressive because it's only one cluster. One cluster is not that hard to manage. But let's say you wanted to do that with multiple clusters. You can go in and I can say, now let's go to the environment, and I want to do that same thing with PyCluster. Well, let me just add that development team there again, which includes test1, which is the user I'm using. I already have everything else set up. Don't have to do anything else. Didn't have to go into the different environments and do everything. So now let me go back to the Google Chrome. You'll see I have PyCluster there. Let me download the kubeconfig file. Now you see I have 2 of these. Voila. Let me download that file. Let me save it again. Let me replace it. I'll bring that file up again. What you notice is I have an extra cluster still pointing to the same thing because that's the gateway to all this. But that user is now on both clusters. So now you have those same permissions, those same profiles, everything that you want to use within Portainer and within the cluster be the same. So you don't have to manage this stuff on multiple environments. As soon as you bring up that environment, you will have it, as soon as you set the permissions for those environments, you will have them to whichever one you associate. So that's about it. I really just wanted to show how easy it is to manage or to have role-based access control kind of flow through not only the Portainer GUI, but through all of the different Kubernetes clusters that you have. Thanks for watching this episode of PortainerBytes, and we'll have another one coming up fairly soon.